Hey all of you, hope you guys are great. Welcome back once again to this complete playlist of open source contribution. In the last video, we have learned about that how we can find out the right project, and we have seen couple of checklists which we have to cover when we are finding the project for open source contribution. In this video, we're going to learn about that how you can submit contribution to the forum. So you have found a project and you want to contribute. So what are the steps you have to follow and how you have to approach in the submitting your contribution. So first thing I want to say that you have to communicate effectively. Whether you are one-time contributor or trying to join the community, working with other developer is one of the most important skills you will develop when you will work in open source. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind. So there are a few things I want to highlight which will give you the context that what should be your approach and how you can ask questions. So before you open any issue or pull request, so I'm going to use this terminology, these keywords, because I have explained you in the previous video that what is issue, what is pull request. That's all I have covered. So if you are not following the complete playlist, make sure to follow that. It will give you the context of the keywords and the communication type we are using in this playlist. Okay. So before you open any issue or pull request or ask question in the chat, keep these points in your mind to help your idea come across actively in the community platform. So first thing you have to do is you have to give context to other developer, and that will help you to speed up the entire process. So if you are running into an error, explain what you are trying to do and how to reduce it. If you are suggesting a new idea, explain why do you think it would be useful to the project, not just only for you, how it will help other developer who have the particular technology. So you can give this particular two examples like X doesn't happen when I do Y. So you can explain about it. And one more example I can give, which you don't need to add something like that, like X is broken, please fix it. You can't communicate like this in the contribution platform. You have to give them context that why it's not working. So that's the first thing, that you have to give the right context in the contribution platform. Then comes the second step. Do your homework before you do anything in the platform. It's okay not to know things, but show that you have tried at least. Before asking for help, be sure to check a project readme file, documentation, issue. And that's the most common problem I have found in most of the new developers. They have come across an issue and maybe there is no issue in the project. Maybe there is a variable changes, but they don't look at the documentation. They simply ask the question in the forum. People will appreciate when you will demonstrate that you are trying to learn here. So you can ask something like that. I'm not sure how to implement X. I checked the docs and I didn't find any mentions. So this is how you can ask question and give them context that what you have done, but how it's not working. You can't say something like that. How do I X? So what you're not providing any context. You are not explaining that what you have done, what effort you have taken from your end before asking the questions. So it's a bad approach. So that's the second thing you have to keep in mind. First, give context. Second, do your homework. Try to do your research. Find the docs, recheck the readme file, and search on Google's. Do all of these things. After that, pitch your questions. So now the third thing we have is that keep requests short and direct. Because no one has the time to read the entire letter or essay. You have to keep things short. It's just like sending an email. For example, that you can type something like that. I would like to write an API tutorial. That's very simple. You can give the context. You can tell your request that I want to write an API tutorial. You can't write something like that I was driving down the highway the other day and stopped from a gas, and then I had this amazing idea for something we should be doing, but before I explain that, let me show you. You can't do this. You can't give you the entire context that how you got that idea. You can simply pitch your idea that what you want. Be the point. Okay. So that's the third thing you have to keep in mind. After that, and the fourth thing you have to keep in mind, that you have to keep all your communication public. Although it's tempting, don't reach out to maintainer privately unless you need to share sensitive information. When you keep the conversation public, more people can learn and benefit from your exchange. So they can discuss among themselves and even they can contribute in your suggestion. So try to keep your requests, try to keep your thoughts public in an open platform. Don't try to keep it private. Hope you guys have got the context that what you have to do in the fourth step. So first we have to give context. Second, we have to do our own research. Third, we have to write our message very short, to the point. And fourth thing is that we have to keep our communication public so other can identify. And the fifth point we have in the list is be patient. It's okay to ask questions. Everybody was new to the project at some point. Even experienced contribution need to get some speed when they look at a new project. Even long-term maintainers are not always familiar with every part of the project. So you have to show them the same patience that you would want to show to you. Got it? So be patient when you will ask question. It will take some time to get response. Be patient during that. So I can give you one more example. I can say that thanks for looking into my error. I follow your suggestion. Here's that output. Short, simple, and you explain that what you have got. You can't say that why can't you fix my problem. You can never say that because he's not reliable for fixing your issue. You are using his tool and you are demanding him to fix your issue. That's not the way to approach. So be patient. And that's what I have found. Like whatever project we have built on the channel, I have seen that many of you have encountered error and there is no problem in the code. Maybe you have some typo, maybe you have installed the wrong version, and you guys tell me the way you command me that fix this issue. Like you have hired me personally to work on your project. That's not how things work. Okay, so you have to be patient, you have to be request, you have to give the entire context and be patient. It will take little time, but definitely things will be okay. So that's the fifth thing you have to keep in mind. And after that, your idea may be different from the community priorities or vision. If you disagree with their direction, you can always work on your own fork or start your own project. You have that option. If you think that your idea is valid, you can do that and you can start working on that. And if you build something bigger on that, then definitely if they consider that you have added something valuable, they're going to help you on that. This is unacceptable. So you can't give this kind of command to the user. You can say that I am disappointed you can't support my use case, but as you have explained, it only affect a minor portion of my user. I understand why. Thanks for listening. In this message, in this way of explaining your feedback, you can display your emotions and you can also let them know that this is the reason why you're not doing it. But you are saying that I appreciate that you have listened at least to my thought. So this kind of message you have to say. You can't command someone that why you are not doing it is unacceptable. Because they are not reliable on your thoughts. Like you think they have the different architecture, different motive. So that's kind of things you have to keep in mind. One thing you have to understand that open source is made up of collaborators from around the world. So communication makes it harder to convey a tone or mood. So ensure good intention in this conversation which you will have. It's fine to polite pause back on an idea, ask for more context or further clarify. So keep it classic. Try to understand all of these different cultures which are there because you are not the one who's part of that project. Multiple region involved, multiple mindset involved, multiple behaviors involved, and they have the different interest. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind, because when you will take the classy approach, you will be a lighting spot in that entire project and your idea will be taken ahead and it will create a good impact on that. So these are the 7 most important points which you have to keep in mind when it's come to submitting your contributions. So these are the messages you have to keep in mind, that how you have to approach, how you have to give the message, and how you can propose your contribution. So before I end this video, I want to talk about one more point. Before you submit your context, you have to gather context. I hope you guys have got the point that what I mean by that. Before doing anything, do a quick check to make sure your idea hasn't been discussed elsewhere. Check the project readme file, mailing list, Stack Overflow. You don't have to spend hours going through everything, but a quick search for a few key terms goes a long way. So that's the first thing you have to do. If you can't find your idea elsewhere, you are ready to make move. If the project is on the GitHub, you would likely to communicate by doing the following. Like you can raise an issue in the project. There is a like stream conversation of discussion which is going on in the project repository, or you can pull requests or start working on that, or you can create a communication channel if the project has a designated Discord, and you can check the communication channel like Discord server where they have talk about your ideas or not. So these are the few things you have to check. This will give you the context about the submit you want to commit in the open source contributions. So before you open an issue or pull a request, check the project contribution doc to see whether you need to include anything specific. For example, they ask you to follow a specific template to make a submit your request. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind. So if you want to make an impactful contribution in the project, first open an issue, ask before you're working on, It's helpful to watch project repository on GitHub, check the community members, and then step into the contribution and do all of the things which I have mentioned. All of these things will give you the proper context, and then you can submit your request. So this is how you can submit your contribution on open source. So I hope you guys have got an idea that what are the steps you have to follow, what tone you have to pick, and how you can gather the context before you submit in the contribution. So that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have got the context that how you can submit your contribution and what are the steps you have to follow and how you can gather context. So with that said, I'm going to move to the next topic, and it's going to be the last topic in our playlist. In that, we're going to focus that what happens after you submit your contribution, how the entire process take place in the open source repository, how the contribution get verified and get interacted with the developer. That's all we're going to cover in the next video. So let's move to that.